Well, dear students, welcome back to the second video class of class 10th, lesson number 1, A Letter to God. Dear students, in the previous video, we came to know about Lencho, his worst condition, as well as his last hope in his toughest times. Let us understand how he conveys his message to God in this video. Let's read out the paragraph first. Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. The following Sunday at daybreak, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. Yes, in this paragraph, Lencho is compared to a ox. What is an ox of a man? Means hard working. So, as animal works continuously, tirelessly in the field, Lencho also works hard in the field. As well as he knew how to write means he was educated. On the following Sunday at daybreak means at sunrise, he began to write a letter to God. So he wrote a letter, he carried to town and place it in the mail. So in the letter he addresses God like this. So if God will not help him as well as his family, they will go hungry this year. And let's see what he tells in the next paragraph. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and live until the crop comes because the hailstorm. He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still troubled, went to town. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. So, what happened, dear students? So, here he demanded the God 100 pesos in his letter. What do you mean by pesos? Pesos means it is a unit of currency of Latin American countries. So why did he demand 100 pesos? In order to sow his field again and live until the new crops come. Right? So he wrote everything. He kept the letter inside, and on the envelope he wrote the address that was to God and placed the stamp on it and dropped the letter into the mail. And now there is the interesting part of the story. Dear students, one of the employees who was a postman and also helped at the post office went to his boss laughing heartily and showed him the letter to God. Yes, students, nobody writes a letter to God. When this postman went to collect the letters, he found a strange letter which was addressing to God. So he could not control. He went laughing to his boss to show the letter. Okay, let's see what he does in the next part of the lesson. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing. But almost immediately he turned serious and tapping the letter on his desk, commented, what a faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with God. Yes, so postmaster here was so much surprised by seeing that letter. So, looking about the nature of the postmaster, he was fat and amiable. Amiable means friendly. So, he also broke out with laughter, and immediately his mood was turned. He became serious and he started to praise the kind of faith that the person had on God. And he felt that even he should have such a faith in God. So here correspondence means communication. Okay, let's see in the next paragraph. So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea. Answer the letter. So, what happened? To keep the writer's faith intact, the postmaster came up with the idea, that is, to answer the letter. Let's see how he will answer. But when he opened it, it was evident. Evident means it was clear that to answer it he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. But he stuck to his resolution. Resolution means strong decision. So he made up his mind that he is not going to change his decision. So when he opened it, it was clearly written not only ink, paper, and the readiness to help is needed, but also there is a need of something else. So he demanded 100 pesos in the letter. As the postmaster is a salary based person, he could not offer 100 pesos. So he asked the money from his employees and he himself gave a part of his salary. So what happened? Several friends of his were obliged. So they were obliged. Here, the word obliged means, that is, to be thankful. What we call it as abhari. To give something, that is for an act of charity. The charity means to helping somebody in need. So they all together collected money and they decided to help the person. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope, addressed it to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature. So what happened? So they all together were unable to gather 100 pesos. So only a little more than half means they were able to collect 70 pesos. And they put the money into the envelope and addressed it to Lencho. And he wrote only one word as a signature, as God. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. So, as Lencho has already written a letter and he was curious that God will send him the reply. So, he came a bit earlier on the following Sunday. So, what he does by seeing the letter? It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looked on from his office. So what happened? Postman, as Lencho came, he handed over the letter to the Lencho, and postmaster was very much satisfied. Contentment means satisfaction of a man. He was experiencing because he had done a good deed, good job. He had helped someone. So what is the Lencho's reaction now? Let's see. So Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his confidence. So Lencho was so confident that God will help him. There was no surprise on his face. But he became angry when he counted the money. When he counted the money, his mood was swift. His mood changed. So let's see what he does. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. Immediately, Lencho went up to the window to ask the paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write with much wrinkling of his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. So, what he did now? So, he has a strong belief in God, that God would never make a mistake, and also God could not have denied him. So Lencho decided to write a second letter to God. So he went up to the window and asked for paper and ink and started to write a letter with much wrinkling. Wrinkling means tying tightly his brow. He was making more effort to write a letter. So why does he write a letter? Let's see. So when he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp, which he licked and then affixed it to the envelope with a blow of his fist. And the moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. So now, as the moment the letter fell into the post box, postmaster was very curious. He went and opened the letter. And in the letter it was stated like this: God. That means he is addressing God. So whatever money he has sent, that is only 70 pesos. But I demanded for 100 pesos. So send me the rest of the amount, since he was badly in need of money. And also he requested the God not to send the rest of the amount through the mail, because he feels that post office employees are bunch of crooks. Crooks. What do you mean by crooks? So crooks means they are a group of cheaters. So he feels that if God sends through mail, employees may cheat him or take away money. So, in this way, keeping the faith of Lencho intact, the lesson concludes. So, what do we understand by this? So, what kind of a man was Lencho? Lencho was a very hard-working, simple, and innocent farmer. He had extreme faith in God. He felt that only God could help him in the distress. He never had the slight sense to believe that a bunch of employees of post office who had really helped him. He felt that God replies and sends him the rest of the amount. So he had immense faith in God, but never thought God could help him in the form of human being. I hope students you like this video, and I would like to assign a small as well as smart work to you all. That is to read the lesson and to write the summary of the lesson in your own words. Thank you, students. Stay home and stay connected to learning.